G'day everyone, Duckville here. We've got a TVZ coming up today. It's going to be a couple of team members from Clarity Gaming who will be fighting it out here on Derelict. Watch it, CE down at the bottom left-hand side as our Zerg player from Clarity. His name is Reborn. Now, Reborn is also released, as all the Clarity guys have. You can go and have a look over at either the Clarity Gaming website or jump onto Team Liquid and just search for Clarity. You'll find a lot of the guys on the team have released replay packs just recently. So if you're looking for some, some strategies to pick up yourself, maybe some help for your particular play in a particular matchup, go and have a look there. But Reborn, one of the Zerg players here, we'll see him up against a Terran over the other side, who I have been watching a little bit lately, because there aren't too many Terran streamers lately. I guess it's due to the small issues that Terran's been having. It is from Clarity Gaming, of course, ElhayM. And he is going to be starting up here at the top right hand side. Looks like he is just going to play out a normal sort of opening. No fancy cheese or anything like that, but no CC first either. So yeah, both of these guys, of course, from the Clarity Gaming team. We'll see how they go. Of course, the thing about being teammates is if you encounter each other on ladder, then you may have a little bit of a fun time right at the start, and then you sort of get into a situation where you do understand what people are sort of, you know what they're likely to do. You know their styles, you know how they play and all these kinds of things. You know their strengths and weaknesses, and you try and, I guess, take advantage of that by either exploiting the weaknesses or looking at the strengths and saying, all right, I got to cover up in these particular areas. So, or someone like ElhayM, we'll see how he goes, because he does have some varied kind of things that he does have available to him. It looks as if he is going to just open up with a Reaper to start with. That first Reaper just about to pop out here. ElhayM, just checking the low ground there, you'll see that SCV, it sort of came down here and said what's going on, and was just double checking that there was no block at the natural or anything like that. Just pretty much making sure that there, if there's a hatchery, then you may need to change things up. So it's all good though, because of course Reborn is not going down in that cheesy sort of direction for the moment. He's going to be picking up the hatchery and the spawning pool inside the main. No gases though, so we're not going to see speed coming out of him quickly or anything like that. ElhayM does like a little bit of harassment. I think, yeah, he normally gets 2 Reapers. We'll see 2 for the moment. And this is also something that we do see in some of his other matchups as well. We'll grab a couple of Reapers and just be as annoying as possible with those little guys. And especially in TVT, he also grabs 2 racks and sometimes does a little bit of 2 racks Reaper pressure. So this is something which he does like to do. I'm sure Reborn will be aware of that kind of stuff. Has some queens on the way. He's got 2 now just coming through. The first couple of lings are now just about to pop out. These lings never really kill off the Reaper. They sort of just, I guess, sort of keep it off the drones for a little bit. That's kind of the best you can hope for with these first few lings that pop out. So all that ElhayM's got to do is keep away from these lings. If you can pick off the lings, we can see some nice micro there from Reborn to send those hurt lings back. You want to try and keep them alive. The back in the day, of course, when when we first got into TVZ and Heart of the Swarm and Reapers had been switched over from what they used to be in Wings of Liberty, of course, there was the Reaper tax, and it used to involve, sometimes people would get 2, maybe even 3 drones and then lings after that. But now, of course, people have gotten a lot better at controlling their workers, keeping them out of the way, maybe dropping them into an extractor or into a spawning pool or something like that so that they can keep them alive. And the Reaper tax these days has basically become, in fact, there you go, there's a prime example of that. Just throws one into a spawn and then even kills a Reaper on the retreat. So, it is interesting to see how things have changed. And, the Reaper tax is basically a couple of lings now. And even then, it's rare to see lings die off, just because the players are getting really good at singling out those hurt units, sending them back home to heal up a little bit, and keeping things all nice and healthy for the early part of the game. So ElhayM did he actually scout out? There's a quick double gas there from Reborn, just so that he can get his Ling speed started up. It's not necessarily indicative of anything in particular, but well, that might be. The double gas is inside the main, just picking them up very quickly here, so we'll see where he wants to go with that. Meanwhile, for ElhayM over on his side of the map, we got a couple of Reapers popping out. The natural has been thrown down, and we do have one Marine that is just trying to keep this Overlord at bay to keep him out of spotting what is going on. ElhayM going to be going for some reasonably sizable pressure here with a couple of racks already grabbing some reactors. We've got the stim tech on the way. And ElhayM's going to be just across on this side of the map. For the moment, it looks like he is going to go for a two-base play for the moment. I'm not exactly sure what the timing on this one is. I think this is the one around 9 minutes or so. I'm just having a quick look, but looks as if we'll get some Marines out. He's going to have stim. He's going to have a lot of Marines pumping out very, very quickly here. And this is something which some Terran players will do just to try and see if you can catch your opponent off guard and maybe do a little bit of damage to them before they can really power up. But ElhayM scans forward and sees that Link speed is nearing completion, no doubt. We've got the lair just about completed as well. So lots of gases come in here for Reborn, but no real signs of what exactly he's going to be going for. We've just got upgrades coming out. Melee and Carapace will be coming about for our Zerg player. But other than that, no real... there it is. It is going to be the quickest spire. I was waiting for that. I was like, I would have thought you would put this down by now, but he finally decides to grab that spire here. Now for ElhayM, as we see on his side of the map, we've got stim just about completed. We've had a couple, or just the one Widow Mine popping out. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't grab another one, but +1 weapons is on the way. Lots of Marines coming through here for ElhayM too. And as I said, it is looking like he's going to go for a bit of a two-base push. Not a huge push, like intending to kill his opponent, but as we said before, he's looking to really capitalize on this early phase before the Zerg is able to get out some of those higher powered units, such as getting some Banes out, getting some Banes in speed, or perhaps even having Mutas out. So Reborn's got to be careful about this kind of situation here. Yeah, get that Overlord out of there, but the creep spread has been pretty decent. He's starting to push it forwards across through the center section of the map, but now ElhayM is looking to push forwards. The Widowmine going to burrow, now going to get it out of there and re-burrow again further forwards. A couple of the Hellions have been taken out, and down goes that Overlord that we mentioned before, but now pushing forwards here is ElhayM. Lots of Marines. They've got their stim. They're going to push forwards +1, and even combat shields is nearing completion here. I do like this timing here from ElhayM. He is going to get in. He's going to have to deal with quite a few Lings, but the Banes are now coming across from Reborn, and he's going to move forwards and take out a lot of the units on the ground, but Reborn is going to hold for now. He has held his position, of course, with some Banes coming along. But one important thing here for him is that the Spire has finished. So we're going to have Mutas now on the way. We've got just a 2. Are there more? I'm sure there would be more. No, there's no more. I guess that's just a problem with only having really 2 mining bases at this point. But he will have gases 5 and 6 coming up in just a second. And ElhayM, well, he was looking at possibly moving across to take the 3rd, but his command center just a little bit behind right now, and also having to deal with a small threat at the front door. Some Marines are having a little bit of a troublesome time trying to deal with the Lings that are just pushing through this base right now. The SCV's coming out to defend. Meanwhile, back over the other side of the map with combat shields done. Now ElhayM can look at trying to push again and maybe forcing his opponent to make some units instead of some drones, and that's exactly what Reborn is doing. 24 Lings are now just about to pop out, and they're going to help out with the defense for now, but are they going to be enough? As those Marines can certainly do a lot of damage, and wow, that Widowmine, a nice grab there. He's going to lose it though, and I would suspect that ElhayM, upon seeing that his opponent has sort of moved out the front door, may look to go for a drop very soon, but he's just waiting off in the wings at the moment. The SCV's looking to transfer across to the 3rd base. Need to get that orbital command. There he goes. He's about to lift that up. Second Evo goes down, the armory as well, and things are, he's just starting to power things up from this point, is ElhayM, as he looks to make sure that he's got the defense ready for those Mutas. I would be... In fact, we don't actually have any turrets. I'm a little bit surprised. It's not just, even just a couple of turrets, just 1 or 2 just to make sure that these bases are protected. I'm a little bit surprised that he hasn't gone down in that direction. Not to mention 1 or 2 just here to protect the 3rd base as well. But he is going to drop in the 3rd base. Reborn gets the drones out of there for now. It looks as though ElhayM is, with some nice positioning, is going to dispose of a few of those Lings. But another drop inside the main base. So Reborn prepared for this one. Gets the Banelings on top of the Marines. The medevacs have gone, are going to have to get out of there, though. They're getting very, very low. But Reborn taking a little bit of damage. He's still on 3 bases. His opponent is also now up to 3 bases, of course, as well. And with the upgrades now coming along, 2-2 for ElhayM. He is going to be having some wonderful sets of Marines are just available to him to get some really good damage done. So we'll see how he's going to move about the map right now. And I would not be surprised, yeah, he's just sort of keeping Marines about to keep an eye on where the 4th base of his opponent is. ElhayM wants to be able to stop the 4th of the Zerg if possible. Keep him on the 3 bases for now, and you're in a really good position. The Widowmines, are they going to get some shots off? Yep, taking out a couple of the drones. Very nicely done. Marines in the middle, clearing out some of the creep tumors. They are going to have to back out, though. The mutas are going to be keeping them in check, but these Marines at the 3rd base have done a wonderful job of just getting in here, clearing out some of the drones, and even looking to possibly take out the 3rd base. Will they be able to get it? Stimming up. The 3rd is very low on health, 39, and that is going to be it. The harassment, though, very successful, denying a lot of mining for our Zerg player, and Reborn is going to have to try and just sort of piece things back together right now. His drone count is currently at 54, quite low for this stage of the game, and like when you consider that hatchery is extremely low, he is going to be in a bit of trouble if he loses that one and then continues to lose some of his map presence as well, because this is the first time that these mutas have actually made it across to the other side of the map, and they'll look to get some damage done, and I suppose this is where having a turret or two would be quite nice. And I'm not sure if ElhayM was relying on his pressure across the map to keep the mutas back, but they certainly did for quite a while. But now he has lost a couple of his SCVs. We're going to lose a few Marines as they pop out of the racks right now, but just across on the opposite side of the map, ElhayM moving forwards, taking out some of the creep, but is he pushing a little bit too far forwards? Perhaps he lifts up some of the Marines. He's now going to drop inside the 3rd base, and that you'd expect that hatchery would be going down right now. You'd just assume that there's going to be a stim, and then nope, not able to get the required attack going there as ElhayM, but of course, he's still sitting very, very, very comfortably at this point. 2-2 is just about to finish up here. He's drilling claws and lots of mines, and Marines are now popping out for the Terran player. Looks like we'll have some the Widowmines burrowing underneath the path of the medevacs there, but they do not get their shots off. But ElhayM, as I said, is looking very strong right now, just because he's sitting on 3 mining bases. His upgrades are keeping up with the Zerg. He's on 2-2 for his own upgrades, and of course, for our Zerg player Reborn, he's on 2-2 for his melee and carapace. But I mean, Reborn is he's gonna have to do some work from here to not only get his 4th base up and running, but I mean, at this stage you would normally be looking at saying, it's getting close to the time for a 5th base at this point. And this is the point where, personally, I really like to see Zerg players taking multiple bases. Take one down here, take another one up here. Most likely, this one up the top side is going to go down to drops or something like that, or possibly the one down the bottom will die to drops, but I mean, at least you've got a follow-up base to protect it. And Reborn, with the muta count starting to climb, we've now got 14 on the map. We're going to have 17 very soon. But he's starting to control the air a little bit better than what he was before. As we saw before, he was struggling to sort of get some of these units in position to defend against those medevac drops. But ElhayM now maneuvering about, wants to get these Marines across and push towards the 4th base of his Zerg opponent. The mutas are now pushing through. They're in a little bit of trouble. Widowmines are going to get some good shots off at least one. There it is, and another one as well. Stimming forward, some of these Marines that wandered out through the middle of the map are going to chase after the mutas, but not going to get too far. As Reborn now heads towards his 4th base. He's, of course, got a little bit of tech happening at home. +2 to the air weapons is on the way. We've got Burrow as well. Do love seeing a bit of Burrow action. Burrowed, of course, the Banelings, the Baneling landmines are just wonderful if you can get them in the right spot. But Reborn looking to mine out in his main base very soon. The natural getting a little bit low, but still going strong for the time being. But here is a little bit of trouble that is now floating in through the top edge of the map. ElhayM going to drop down some of these Marines, clean out the Zelnaga watchtower, but we will see him head towards that 3rd very soon. A little bit of perhaps a distraction tactic, as another group of Marines is at the bottom of the map as well. Is he going to do a little bit of a pincer movement to try and attack into the 3rd base and also the 4th at the same time? He's sort of just positioning his units to try and catch these mutas. They've been floating about but haven't really been getting much done. These mutas are every now and then they're attempting to get something, but I mean, they're not really getting too far. And ElhayM now dropping on the third base. Where is the stim? Need to get those Marines on the hatchery, but the hatchery has regened a lot of its health right now and is up to 500 health. So it's not going to be as easy as it could have been for those Marines, but the 2-2 Marines now shredding up some of the meters. They will be going down low as the ground forces do resupply here, and Reborn forces his opponent back and does take a little bit more map control back at the top edge of the map right now. That Queen extremely low on health, 4 health on her right now, but the drop, there it is. He's going to be coming in towards the fourth base here. It looks as if ElhayM is just biding his time, trying to find the right target. Drops down some of the Marines on the Banelings and the Lings as well. The meter count, keep in mind, now up to 23. We aren't going to have a lot of map presence available for Reborn with those meters, but he sort of just needs to get into the right position to be able to get some damage done. And there we go, coming in, just sweeping in from both sides, taking out those units that are there inside the main base. And of course, throughout the middle, the creep spread has restarted here from Reborn. I do like how he's starting to push it out through the bottom, and then of course we do have some going through the top as well. Some players, they'll just sort of make a direct push, like in fact where this rally point is going towards. They just sort of push it through the middle and never really bother about heading up towards the top. It's always good to make sure you have it just as far and as wide as you possibly can, just to make sure that you are spreading efficiently and you know, getting that map vision, as well as the of course the map presence with the mobility that you gain from the speed. But as you can see, Reborn is now looking to push forwards. There are a lot of Widow Mines here for ElhayM, and he does have a few more still probably looking to pop out very soon, but weirdly some of them are up here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower. I'm not exactly sure what the plan is with those guys, but we are going to have what looks to be a push now moving down through the southern side of the map right now. And ElhayM, I mean, he's not rushed for anything at this point. He's got a 4th up. It's not necessarily fully protected just yet, but I mean, wow, there's the Widow Mines catching out some of the Mutalisks there somehow. Reborn was not, it did not see that one coming. Some more Widow Mines getting shots off, taking out a few more of those mutas, and very nicely done. Got a resupply with 10 mutas right now. Is Reborn, but he is also grabbing his infestation pit. We've got the 4th base now under attack. In fact, just unburrowing at the wrong time there is Reborn. The Marines are now free to push inside. They're just going to charge forwards, and in fact taking some Baneling hits in the process of that. The medevacs are forced to boogie on out of there because the mutas are now coming. The muta count has been reduced to 24. It was up closer to 30 just before, but now that has been dropped down due to some of those Widow Mine hits. And now, as we can see, ElhayM in a little bit of trouble as he's forced to get out of there because he's just having a little bit of trouble dealing with all of these ground units now coming along from Reborn. He's up to 199 supply. He is maxed out, but he is going to have a little bit of trouble pushing in towards his 3rd base here. The hatchery, keep in mind, is probably going to die very quickly. Lots and lots of Marines. That's 4 medevacs full of Marines now popping out at this base, disposing of the Queen, disposing of the Spore Crawler. Now the hatchery as well. Probably will back out of there and then head across towards the natural base as well. In fact, that's exactly what he's doing with one of those medevacs. It's now just pushing in through the left side of the map. We'll find the infestation pit and we'll have a look and say, okay, the high tech is now getting close, so I may want to start switching in some Marauders very soon. May want to get those tech labs prepared on the racks, but for the moment he still has to deal with a reasonably high muta count of 33, and I mean, it's even going to increase to 40 in a short moment here because Reborn is continuing on with that muta count right now. He does have a small threat inside his main base. The Marines have dropped in. They're going to take out this extractor, which matters not, but as we can see, he will be forced to get out of there for now. But Reborn, I mean, we've had virtually no pressure across on the opposite side of the map. We've had a few incursions of the Mutalist flock, but there hasn't been a great deal of harassment on ElhayM. He's been able to constantly push towards his opponent's side of the map, and as you can see, we're starting to add those Marauders in as he prepares for the late game of Zerg, which normally will involve Ultralists. So we'll see where he wants to go with that, but a large group of Lings has now just somehow wandered its way inside ElhayM's natural base. He's going to pick up some of the units that are down here on the ground as well. We've moved into a weird kind of base trade kind of territory right now as ElhayM heads down towards the 4th base. Lots of Lings getting some work done over in his opponent's natural base. The Link count is currently sitting at 68. Of course, quite a lot of these guys out on the Terran side of the map, and ElhayM is going to be he's going to back out. I'm a little bit surprised about that decision. I suppose pretty much all of his mining, apart from the fourth base, is now under threat. But also, one of the big things here is the production is going to be in a little bit of trouble as he looks to scramble out some Marines very quickly. The third base was also forced to lift as well, and now ElhayM is finally making his way back. The medevac's going to be healing up some of these Marines as they were forced to stim back. The Mutalist count, though, look at that. That is incredible. 36 Mutas are now out for the Zerg player from Clarity Gaming. Going to be dropping off and killing off some of these SCVs inside the main base, but the main Marine force has now made its way back. Will ElhayM be prepared? Look at this. A little bit of a possible trap being set up by a Terran player there. Gets the double shots off, and the Mutas are getting absolutely smashed there by the double Widowmine shots, and that is going to be a very worrying thing for Reborn. He's sort of trapped in this area now. Where does he go? Because there are Mutas, there are Marines on both sides. There's Widowmines down the middle. How is he going to get these Mutas out? Keep in mind, there are still 31 Mutas out, and the majority of them, I believe, are in this group that's up here, stuck in the corner. And he's going to try and just set himself up to maybe try and dive out. I mean, there's not too much across on the left side there, but it looks as if he's just having a quick peek, trying to figure out where is everything. I can see there's some Widowmines over here. There's a few Marines set up on this side as well. He's going to send some Lings across to try and distract his opponent, but also the Mutalists now just diving across, looking to kill off some of the units on the side, but that is not a good idea. These are 3-3 Space Marines, ladies and gentlemen, and now here he goes. He finds the way out. He finds the window and gets out of there, but not before taking a couple more Widowmine shots. The Lings, of course, have made their way across to the third base, but aren't going to be deflected for now. The Marines are going to be holding them back, and ElhayM is going to be looking to re-establish at least some semblance of mining across at the third base, as he is now ready to move out. He's got his fourth base is pretty well protected. I'm a little bit surprised there aren't like just at least 3, maybe 4 turrets set up here just to keep this base secure, but I don't know, but we can see some Widowmines over here on the Xel'Naga Watchtower again. Is going to be keeping an eye on what's going on here. The Widowmines, well, they're just going to be destroyed by the Mutas as they do pop about. Overseers are going down, and more battles going on in the middle of the map here. It looks as if ElhayM was preparing to push out, but encountered some Banelings that were out there in the middle, but has cleaned up most of them. There are some more units now moving towards the top base here, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, I know there's a lot of Mutas, and turrets don't necessarily kill the Mutas when they're at this kind of count, but would have been nice. But there you go, that's something that certainly does kill Mutas. A bunch of Widowmines are burrowed in time, and ElhayM does force his opponent back, and this is the worrying part for Reborn right now. We don't have a 5th base. It's 31 minutes into this game, and we're still waiting on a 5th base, and he's going to start to struggle as we move into the late game here, where the Terran is going to start to really mass up this Marine count. We can see that there are a lot of Widowmines, only a few Marauders. Like I mentioned before, normally at this point you'd be preparing for the Ultras, but ElhayM knows that with his opponent only having effectively, what is it? It's like it's basically, yeah, just 4 minor gases right now. He's not going to be able to get Ultras out in a decent number and keep up the the Baneling production and all this kind of stuff. So he's going to have a really hard time getting the Ultralists out, and says, let's just keep up the Marine production. And now as the Mutas push forwards, they are going to find a couple of Widowmines here across to the side. Is he going to take that? Does take all 3 hits on those Mutas there. That was a bad movement from our Zerg player. He has forced his opponent back though. Again, I'm a little bit surprised that ElhayM has just decided to come back to this. I mean, it's at this point where if you have some turrets thrown down at this 4th base, you can just say, alright, let's trade, baby, because, what are you going to be doing against the Widowmines and the Marines that pop out consistently? But Reborn, I think he is really starting to struggle right now, as he is slowly starting to run out of resources. We've got only 400 minerals and about 600 gas. Of course, it's always good to be using all of that stuff, but I mean, normally at this point, you'd be cranking out some of the higher tech here as the Zerg player, those higher life forms, such as those the Infestors maybe, even some Ultras should be coming out at this point, but he's been struggling to keep his opponent back on his side of the map. So ElhayM is going to need to be very careful. There are a couple of burrowed Widowmines, burrowed Banelings out on the map there. We've got mines for both races here. It gets a little bit quirky, but He is going to be pushing out here. Needs to be careful. Needs to be aware that his opponent will be looking for one of those, one of those big hits where you kind of like Scarlet versus Bomber at Red Bull Battlegrounds, where you're just waiting for that one big hit that wins you the game and sort of pulls it back into your favor here. But ElhayM is now approaching the third base. These Lings are going to come out. They are going to force back the units for now. More medevacs are now transferring down to the bottom side of the map, leaving some of his units up here at the fifth base. ElhayM is going to be dropping down a few mills here to keep his mining going, but the big attack is now coming along. Will this Baneling landmine get a good hit here? This could certainly give Reborn a bit of breathing room, but is it going to be enough? We're just sort of waiting for ElhayM to push forwards here, as there he goes. He's got one Marauder just pushing forwards, wants to see what's going on. The Mutas are now going to probably try and bait the Marines across, and in fact, there he goes. ElhayM is going to scan forwards. It gets a little bit suspect when the Marines are just flying directly at a huge pack of Marines like that, and yeah, ElhayM's just going to back out for now. But the big thing is, of course, is that his fifth base up at the top is now set up and it's up and running. We've got Widowmines and the Planetary also protecting it. As we can see, ElhayM is going to find that his opponent is attempting his own fifth base. Not going to happen, and that could be lights out right now for Reborn as he comes across to the fourth base. Still no turrets here. He's just completely he's going no turret mode here, is ElhayM right now. I think we've got like 2 out on the map somewhere. In fact, no, there are no turrets out. He's just been relying on Widowmines, a good positioning there. Looks as if the Marines were able to get past the Baneling landmine, and now Reborn is going to suffer for that, but perhaps if he can force the units back up to the top of the ramp. But some nice splits there from ElhayM to keep the majority of his Marines alive. He's going to stem up and push forwards. The trade is on as Reborn wants to take out some of the production facilities over on his opponent's side of the map. Looks like he will get quite a few of them. Marines are going to slowly pop out, but they are not going to be able to kill off this huge pack of mutas. As we can see, it's at 42 right now, but the favor is still in ElhayM's direction as he is now pushing forwards, taking out some of his opponent's production. We're now looking at creep tumors going down. The third base, even though it's barely mining, is in a lot of trouble, and I would suspect that we are going to have Reborn tapping out very soon. Despite getting this huge clump of mutas out, it's not going to be enough. I mean, he's still got to deal with the Widowmines that are out. He's got to deal with the fact that he's going to have no production himself, and ElhayM, with all of these Marines over the opposite side of the map, he is going to be able to sweep through the rest of these units here and finish off this game very soon. But ElhayM, well, I mean, you know, he's not mining at his third base anymore, but that's not really something that you've got to worry about at this point. Here come the mutas, here come the Banes, going to try and load up, and well, that was really weird. It was looking like ElhayM was going to attempt a split or something like that, or was attempting to jump in the medevacs, but he's lost a lot of those Marines. He's now going to lose all the medevacs as well, but I mean, even so, it's still not enough to save the day here for the Zerg player from Clarity Gaming. More Marines just randomly pushing through in towards the natural base here. Going to kill off that Queen quick, smart, and that is going to be the end of her. But Reborn comes back home, cleans out the Marines, and I mean, this is the thing, he's got 15 drones and no mining base right now. ElhayM does find the another attempted fifth base down at the bottom side of the map, and is going to send a Marauder, probably a couple more units across to deal with that as well. And you would suspect that once this base gets goes down or gets cancelled, that it's going to be over, because there's no way that Reborn can come across to the top left-hand side and take this base. Unlikely he's ever going to be able to get the fourth as well. And now with these Marines and the Marauders here, they're going to keep in check this bottom base, but, well, they will get exposed for now and removed from the field, but I mean, it's still pretty much in the hands of ElhayM. He'd have to majorly screw up or possibly step on a very big Baneling landmine to lose this game at this point. But the muta count somehow still up at 36, not doing too badly. Here is Reborn, but I mean, he's not going to get too far from here. I mean, here come the Marines. They're stemming forwards, going to take out a couple of Marines at the back, maybe one or two. Down they go. And ElhayM, well, he continues to just hold his opponent back at every single point where Reborn is trying to take advantage of his mutas here. But as we can see, with no extra hatchery come up, Reborn just trying to see what he can do with these mutas, but I doubt there is any single thing he can do. At this point, you're probably going to have to tap out. There you go. GG, and Reborn is now out of this one. ElhayM takes a victory over his teammate. Go check out both of these players and their replay packs over on teamliquid.net. I have been Duckville. You've been awesome. I'll catch you all next time. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more